podcast. We're here with me, Lucas, Normal and Beefham.
Alright, lad.
And we also have Fran from Red Rum Club. How are we, mate?
Right, boys, yeah, I'm good.
So we'll get started off with, where did it all begin? Where did your music career begin?
It probably began when I realised, me personally, when I realised I wasn't going to be the next Gerard. Music was always a part of my life, but then when I hit like 30, I think it was younger actually, about 12, 13, I think it was one night, I sat with my uncle who was playing guitar, and it was probably the first time, I always appreciated music, but it was the first time I was like, that's boss, I'm going to learn guitar.
Yeah.
And when I done that, Tom, who's in Red Rum Club with me, he was my cousin, I said, I'm getting a guitar for Christmas, he said, I will as well, and then it all just sort of, I wouldn't say kicked off, because for about 3 years we never done nothing, we were just messing about. And
was it just used to then?
Well, it was us initially, yeah, and then you just like, as we were growing up, we realised there was other lads, you know, Michael who's in the band and Simon is in the band, Neil, and like they're sort of doing the same thing in different bands, and then we all just sort of come together one day. Mike invited us all around, and we kicked into the first song, and it was like, it's like the best thing that we hadn't ever experienced. Like, you know what I mean? It was like we played in bands before, and it was like, oh, that's great, that's amazing, that sounds boss, but then this thing, just the first song we played, it was like, whoa, we've never felt that before.
What was that song? Your own song or like a cover?
No, it was Pyro by Kings of Leon.
Yeah.
Pyro by Kings of Leon. We kicked into that, and it was like, whoa, that sounds good. It was like probably the first time we ever sounded good. That was it. Do you know what I mean? And then we messed about for about 5 years, just playing pubs and clubs, trying to impress girls, getting free drinks, and then we met a few people. We met our manager, who's still our manager to this day, George Wilson, who used to be in bands in the 80s. Carl Hunter from the Farm, do you know, all together now on Groovy Train. And Peter Rutan. They seen us because we were playing in pubs in Crosby as well as in town and that. And Carl said, "You're good. Like, start writing some songs. Like, you know, you could just want to be a rock star sort of thing."
Yeah.
So we did. We tried. I'm still trying to be rock stars now.
What position were you when you were playing Tug?
Well, it varied. I was a forward when I was younger, and then I had an injury. I had a bad injury as a kid. I had to have an operation. I had like a bone disease and
really,
that. Yeah. And then I went to like left midfield. Then I ended up left back. It was one of them. It was like a slow right failure. I ended up just making the numbers up at left back. And then, yeah, as I say, when I was like 12, 13, I was playing with my mates, and these lads who I used to be well better than, because of this injury, I had like 2 years off, and then I was like, right, I'm going to have to find something else then, aren't I? I'm going to have to find another way of making money.
It's mad though, innit? Like, that was sort of a blessing, that really, then, to like step into music.
Yeah, it probably was, because even if I didn't get injured, it probably wasn't good enough anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it was, yeah, I feel like music was always there. It was always waiting for me. I was always going to sort of do something creative. My family are quite creative and that, so.
What sort of bands was it when you first started listening to and that?
I don't know, it was always like the Beatles and all that, and they were always just on. Every memory I've got probably just had like music in the background on the radio or whatever. But then the first band that I actually like listened to, and I was like, wow, first band that like spoke to me, didn't just like speak to everyone. I was like, it was the Arctic Monkeys' first album, and I think it was the year after the first album come out, and that's when I discovered them, and when I was probably about their age, you know what I mean? They were slightly younger, like, but they were talking about the things that I was wanting to do, going out and all that, and that first album just summed up how I was feeling at that time, and I was like, wow, this is my band. You know, the Beatles is everyone's band, everyone listens to them and thinks, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
But they were the band that was like, these speak to me, you know what I mean? And then through them like came like the Strokes and Kings of Leon, Killers, whoever else, and it just went like mad then, you know what I mean? It became like a spider diagram then. But the Arctics were in the middle. For me, they were the start of it, the ones that made me want to pick my guitar up and like learn their tunes, you know what I mean?
What do you think of them now?
I think they're great. I think they're amazing. They're everything they do, but like I know sort of the people who listen to them or have listened to them, album 1, 2, 3, 4, even the 5th, even AM, like, you've got to realise they live a different life to everyone else. All their listeners, know what I mean? They're millionaires and they travel the world all the time, and like they don't really need to get everyone on the dance floor anymore. They don't really need to chart anymore, and You know what I mean? Like the millionaires living in LA, they're never going to be relatable. They're never going to be them 16, 17, 18-year-old lads who wrote Fit album 1.
I think that might be because we haven't been brought up with that music because we're only like 20. Do you know what I mean? So we haven't been brought up with Arctic Monkeys.
So Arctic Monkeys was like when I was 15, 16. They were just about clicking. They were just about coming out. First album was about to drop, and it was just about going to the booze, trying to get into clubs, trying to get into girls, and it took like a good 5 years. You know, an age range of 5 years. So if you were 15 or if you were 20, you could listen to them. You know what I mean? He spoke to you about something, and then. So it just took everyone with them, and like I was just in that sort of 5-year category that I've just travelled with them. And that's why they're so big. But then I don't know what was the first song you remember of them?
I think mine was Lessons to Adolescence because it was on the in-betweeners, wasn't
it?
And that's how I sort of got into them and that.
Yeah. And then like Do Wanna Know Come and all that, and AM, the album, and like they reinvent, that was like another sort of peak to it. Then the new album's like something different in it, but as I say, they can do what they want now. They've earned the right.
Going back to your music though, like what was the first song you wrote?
I wouldn't know, you know. It was probably, I don't know, it's probably had a like proper rip off Arctic's title or something. But I just remember about it was talking about girls and being out drunk. That was it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the theme because that's what I was doing. That's what we were doing. And then the first we wrote as a band as Red Rum Club was a song called Cut the Rope. And it was like a blues skiffle thing, like a Beatles thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that. No one go and search it. No one go and search it. Be on YouTube somewhere. I don't want that to happen. No chance. But it all blurs into one. Like we were writing so much and we were that busy. We were gigging every weekend that it all just sort of like there's things that pop up now on my timeline or in my inbox. I'm like, wow, remember that one? God, what were you thinking there? You know what I mean?
What year was it when you was like formed?
We were, I don't know, actually. You couldn't even say formed because like me and Tom were cousins. So we were in a band and then two of the lads were in another band. But then we were jamming together through the week and then gigging in separate bands. So it was all just sort of mad. Red Rum Club come about in 2016.
2016, yeah.
Yeah. But then Joe didn't join till must have been 12 months, 18 months after that. Because we had a manager and the manager was like, you know, try something different. And we bumped into Joe, we had a trumpet and we was like, come jam and see what happens. And it sort of like become something new then, do you know what I mean? We weren't a band anymore, we were like a band with a trumpet, which made us different again. So we went with that and then it kicked off about, I wouldn't say, it never kicked off, it just gradually got warmer and warmer, do you know what I mean? About 2018, 2019, and see, 20 was still bouncing because we released the second album and that. But it's been gradual, do you know what I mean? It's been boss. Yeah. I'd rather that than it just blow up because we'd all probably hate each other now. we do hate each other.
Is there any moment where you thought like, this is what I do for a career? Because a lot of people are musicians, but not everyone can do it full time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That was probably late 2019, 2020, where we were going on tour and we knew we were getting enough money to cover expenses and we were all going to see a little bit of money, and we never done it for the money. It was always just like, let's just go and do it and see what happens, and if money comes. But that was the first time we established ourselves enough to be able to say, listen, you know, we charge this much in London or this much in Liverpool, and luckily we didn't have to do that because at that time we had an agent, so we can just be like, we don't have to be the bad guy, the arse, you know what I mean? We don't want to be ringing up promoters saying, we want more money, put a fucking zero on it. No, we don't want to be that person, but you've got people to do that for you, do you know what I mean?
Do you know, with like the full established lineup, can you remember like the first sort of venues you played?
Zanzibar,
yeah.
So we had, basically what we done was, because we're all from the north, we were in Crosby and Waterloo and that, we played pubs there, and we played pubs like just messing about and few covers, few things, and then we'd have like a big night out in town. We'd always end up in town anyway after them Crosby shows. We'd all end up going to Mojo and that and trying to sneak in or whatever. Yeah. But then we'd have like the big shows where it was like, right, we're playing the Zanzibar or we're playing the O2 on a band night, and we'd just go and mess about and just play our songs, and that was our big thing. And we had a dressing room and a rider and that, and we thought we were the bee's knees and that. And loads of people would buy tickets to come and see us, because there's 6 of us, like your nan and granddad come and all that. And it was boss, you know what I mean? They were amazing. But they were the early ones. Zanzibar, Ship and Forecast, O2 Academy, like the small room. What else was there? Jacaranda downstairs. Loads of little things like at the Parr Street, Pseudo 2. And none of them really stick out because there was just that many. We were just playing, and probably because we weren't that good or good enough to be like step it up a level. We were just messing about, just taking a piss, really. Just taking a piss on stage and then going out for a bevy after.
It's like fully gone now, Zanzibar.
It's meant to be, yeah. It's meant to be gone.
Sad, isn't it? Like, what's like COVID obviously affected the industry in general, but how's it affected your band, like, as such?
I don't know. It's dead strange for us because we released an album during COVID.
That must have been mad, that releasing it like during COVID. Yeah,
it was crazy because you release release a single and then you go on tour, and then you come back and then you release another single and then the album. It's all like a building thing, and you're seeing people face to face, and there's answers. So it was very scary, but we thought we had to do it because we had it recorded, and we thought, right, we don't know when this is going to end, so we couldn't wait another year because people forget about us then. Not us, know what I mean? They'd just be like, oh, remember them? Remember that one gig we went to them and they had that one tune that was half decent. So we just were like, let's just do it, put it out, and if people like it, it'll get a response. And it was dead nerve-wracking because, like, obviously, like if we were playing gigs, people would be like, oh yeah, that's a belter, that new one, whatever. But we got that online. We got Radio 2 and like loads of Radio Play, Spotify playlists. People like tagging us on all social media, and we were like, actually, this is all right. Like we've done okay, yeah. And then sales were good, got decent chart numbers and stuff like that. So we were happy. We will always, to the day we die, we'll always think, what would that album have done if we weren't in COVID? You know what I mean? We would have played shows. We'd still be now playing shows for this album. Whereas now we're thinking album 3, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it was something we had to do. It was just a building block. It was like, in the meantime, while you're all locked down, remember us. Play our tunes, remember us. Yeah. Almost begging.
Have you had the chance to play any of them songs live in previous sets off the new album?
We had Ballerino and Eleanor. We played them, I think. I can't remember. It's been that long ago. There's been a lot of going on since then. But then we played live streams and stuff like that. We've done our own live stream in a farmhouse.
Oh yeah, seen that.
Yeah, and we just played the whole album in full, and it was good, but it didn't feel like, it just felt like it was us in the practice room. Yeah, you know what I mean? We were looking at each other just like, and we had to keep reminding ourselves there's a camera there, just, you know, give it a bit of energy. But I don't know, it's going to be strange going back out when we can. I don't even know when that is. Like,
hopefully this summer, isn't it?
Well, there's things in May, apparently, isn't it? People talk in May, but I'm not too sure. I'm just staying out of it because the kids go back next week, don't they? And the kids go back to school.
Yeah, let's be open.
I don't know. I've lost all hope.
Where was it recorded, the album?
The album's Parr Street Studios.
Was the first one recorded there?
Both, both of them there. Yeah. So, like, when we were doing them boozers in town and stuff, we just we got to know people, and Carl Hunter from the farm knew Chris Taylor, who owns Parr Street. He's got the big room in there, and then Chris had seen us a few times, and we struck up a deal, and he said, yeah, come in one of the days, we'll record one of your songs and put it out. So we basically signed, but it wasn't, we never signed anything, you know what I mean? It was just like, come in here, we'll put it out on our record label, put some money, pay for a plugger, and try and get the music out there, and try and get it on radio or whatever, and then see what happens. And then, because we done that 3 times with him, 3 singles put out, and then record labels come knocking then. And because we done that, that was the payback. It was like, all right, well, I get to do your album, and the record label then paid him to do our album, and then we just couldn't go anywhere else then, like, really. Yeah. You know, for the second album, it was like lockdown was coming, and we were just like, yeah, let's just go there and just get it done. You know what I mean?
How'd you get your song on the radio? I've always thought, like, how'd you actually get to that?
It's just, you don't know, to be honest.
Do you have to, like, submit it, send it off to them?
There's loads of the BBC uploader, you know, like this BBC Introducing, and all the regional shows. So BBC Merseyside has a show, and BBC Lancashire, BBC London, they all have their shows. And there's this thing called the uploader. So it's just you go on the BBC website, BBC Introducing uploader, put it on, and then someone will listen to it from the team, so they'll get notifications every time. BBC Radio Merseyside, there'll be someone in an office saying someone's uploaded a new song. They'll listen to it. If they like it, they pass it on. It goes to regional. It goes to BBC. But then there's other, so like, and then that can go through the chain then up to the top, and you can end up on Radio 1. It's very rare that happens, but and then the other way is just pay a plugger, a radio plugger, someone who knows a lot of the DJs, has passes and goes in and sits in meetings. Is where like big record labels get their songs on it, because it's like they've got people in, you know, who know the record, know the DJs, know the record industry, know the radio stations. So it's, a lot of it is who you know, but it's all quality. It is all quality. Yeah. If your songs are good enough, they'll get in the radio. They will get in the radio, as long as they're not just on SoundCloud. You know what I mean? If you put them out, if you know how you're doing, you just take them little steps of BBC Uploader and, you know, sharing a few things to a few people in the know, they'll end up on the radio. Yeah, I think so.
Moving on, where does your sound come from? Because it's not that similar to like normally like Scouse bands. Do you have a certain sound to them? Do you know what I mean? But yours is just completely different to that. Yeah,
it was like, it wasn't so much a conscious effort, but we had our ex-manager. He's based in London, and he got told, I don't know whether this is true, but a memo went round Universal, the record label Universal, saying don't sign any bands, or something like bands and rock and roll or indie isn't sort of happening. That was the gist down in London, because like I think Catfish and the Bottom and Blossoms were getting radio, but no one else was sort of like no one else was sort of doing it. So he come back to us and said that to us and said, try something different. And a week later, we bumped into Joe, who two of the lads went to school with, and they were telling him like, yeah, we're in this band, and we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing all right, and there's record labels interested, but this and this. And he was like, I play trumpet, do you want me to come and jam with you? If you're after something new. So then we were like, yeah, come here, just come and jam. And then he turned up, and he just was like, he turned up in these big Mr. MC Hammer kecks, like, honestly, he just been to Thailand, and he come back and he had a big circle sunglasses and like big baggy hippie kecks. Walked in, we were all in skinny jeans and leather jackets, like looking at him like, I don't know about this fella sort of thing. Then he whipped out this trumpet and just blew it me like, wow, yeah, you're in. Just go and get a bit of, let's go to the top shop, mate, let's go. That's what it was. That is what it was. And then it just sort of happened. And Joe just was in the band. He just came to practice all the time. And then when we started gigging, everyone was like, trumpet? Like, yeah, it's mad, innit? Sounds good.
It is mad though.
Yeah, it is. And when we we're the same. We're still now a bit like trumpet. Like when you sat your guitar and where does the trumpet go here? Then, but it's, I don't know, it just works somehow. And
it sounds quite like, I don't know, like, is the right word Latin?
Yeah, a little bit like Americana, a little bit, a little bit sort of, South American. Yeah, I don't know how. And I don't know why, to be honest. Well, I do know why. It was to try and stand out and have a unique thing. But if Joe come in and wasn't Joe and some other lad and he sounded amazing, but I couldn't stand him, do you know what I mean? And he was a divvy, I'd be like, let's just try something else. Let's go and get a synth player. And we'd probably turn into like Daft Punk or something. Do you know what I mean? It just sort of happened, and Joe was there, and it was like, yeah, sound, let's just go with this, because if we go on tour, I can stand Joey's sound, and the trumpet makes us different, so it just happens.
I can stand them.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. A lot of it's like, he you know what I mean? He doesn't do me head in. Because that's with bands is a big thing. You know what I mean? You spend so much time together, and we were doing so much at that time. It was like, yeah, he sounds, it'll be all right. That's it. It's mad that actually happens in the industry. So, you know, when you go on tour and you see bands like going on tour on sports lots and all that, a lot of it's that. A lot of it is you get the tour support if you sound.
Yeah.
If they're like, the main band are like, yeah, they'll be sound on tour for 3 weeks. You know, you can have a drink with them, or they'd leave you alone when you want them to. They won't be in the way, pestering you and being a divvy. And that's just, it's mad. You just got to be dead professional, but also sound. You know what I mean? Like if you're going out and having a pint, and don't step on anyone's toes. Don't get over, like, sort of.
If you're touring with someone as a sport band, how often are you with them on that tour? Like on the day to day, even on days off and all that?
No, not. Well, we haven't done any, to be honest. Yeah. We haven't supported any. Our last tour, which feels like ages ago, as it was, but our last tour we had a band called October Drift with us. They supported us all tour, and it was one of them. You meet each other at the venue. You both make separate ways to the venue, get there, stay in different hotels or stay in different digs, and then meet each other, sound check. They come in an hour late after you. while you're doing your sound check, they're setting up, then they get on, do the sound check. And then you just can either go, come here, do you want to go for a bevy? Or do you want to go for a meal? We're going here. Or you just go your separate ways. So you see each other at the gig and the days of the gig. And then, as you say, if the sound, it is like you could see each other every day. That's a lot of it. Even these like top Noel Gallagher and all that. Noel Gallagher's not going to take just anyone on tour. You know what I mean? Because if he's taking like loads of fanboys and they're like, I know, they're all right, how you doing? Like, if you like, just give them a minute, lads. You know what I mean? It is that thing of like, play cool, just be sound sort of thing. That's what. And don't be an asshole. Don't be like throwing tellies out windows.
Has there ever been a moment like that for you though, where you've like had to stay cool, but you think this is mad, like it's someone you sort of look up to?
Yeah, a good fair few times. Like, Parsley Tube, that's where Blossom's done their 4 albums now they've done there, and we sort of got to know them like in a like letting on sense. All right, boys, they recognise us, and I don't think they know our names, but it's like, all right, boys, use of them, and we know all their names, so they don't know us. You know what I mean? They just know us as Red Rum Club or whatever. So that was like the first time where we'd be able to walk in the studio and just see them, and we'd be like, all right, boys, carry on. But really, we're like, Blossom's there, fuck, see them then.
Didn't you end up supporting Blossoms?
Yeah, so it was through that. So sort of that thing. So like, because we played it cool for like 18 months, 2 years, going, all right, what's happening? All right, and then going in and working with the same producers. Chris who done our stuff, Rich Turvey who does their stuff. Because like we've got that crossover, we know people who know them.
Yeah.
They would have just been talking about us and being like, yeah, the sound them lads, and Blossom, they tell us that Blossom's a sound, and we're like, oh, sound. And then it's funny we got that support slot because our manager is a physio. And he was like, yeah, I'll help you. And apparently one of them wanted to get fit, and he was like, yeah, I'll help you, and sent a nutrition plan across. And then we played, so we were doing each other favours and being like mates with them, dead pally with them, and not being all big fangirls going over asking for pictures and stuff. Yeah. So that's sort of what happens. And then there's a few times that's happened where there was one time where it never kept me cool. It was when we were in Romania with the 1975, and they were backstage, and I'd spoke to George, like the drummer, and the two other fellas outside. Yeah. But Matty was inside the dressing room doing something. We all had this big like hall, but it was all cordoned off with like different dressing rooms and rooms for like massages and like a canteen and all that. So I was just wandering around trying to like meet people, because like Jungle were on it and Black Honey were on it, and so I was just trying to like bump into someone like, oh, you're all right, sort of thing. And I'd spoke to everyone, but I'd spoken to Matt Healy, and I sort of wanted to, because I think he just won 2 Brits or something. Yeah. And in the end, I never. And he went on stage, and we watched them from side of stage playing it cool, and went out the front and was like on each other's shoulders, like all bouncing to 1975, and then we got to know the stage manager, and he was like, they're going, and he was like, what? He said, they're going on a flight in like 2 hours, so they're walking off stage and getting into cars and going, they're not like sticking around. So as soon as they finished, I ran from the front, like out the front, like with everyone dancing, and ran round the back, and like stood in a car park and waited for them to come out. I was like, Matty, I said, we've just opened a stage for you. I said, can I get a picture with you? And he went, yeah, go ahead, like that. But like, if anyone else asks, I was like, yeah, the sound, we were just bevying with them in that all day. Yeah, there's a picture with them. That, yeah, we were with them all day, the sound. But then there's a few things like that, but you'd learn that over time. You learn the fact that, like, you don't have to, as soon as you see someone go over and go, what's happening? You're like,
yeah.
Play cool, man.
Has it been surreal? Like, you've played Glastonbury, haven't you?
Yeah.
That must be, like, fucking mad, getting told you're playing Glastonbury, then going, like, that must just be, like, the dream.
Yeah, it's madness. It's surreal, you know, when people, when like artists and bands talk about like the sort of come down of like being on stage and being king of the world. Yeah. I never really experienced it until Glastonbury.
Yeah,
I played like headlined the stage at Isle of Wight. I played Isle of Wight twice. Went to Romania, went to South Korea. Done all these things and played these big stages to thousands of people. And I've always been like, come off and went, yeah, that was good. Well, felt good. Yeah, well done. All right. Yeah, it sounds. Because I think I've never like built it up in my head. It was just like, it's another stage. It's all the same songs. We're going to go and just play it. And if people like it, then great. But Glastonbury, we found out 3 months or 4 months earlier. Might have even been more. And it was Glastonbury. I was building it up in my head. And we were all building it up. Glasgow. And then we travelled there and got a weekend pass through the post. And we're like, yeah, there we go. Had a badge with my fucking face on it like that. Like, and then we got there on a Friday, walking around like we own a place. I ended up in the rabbit hole like, I nearly ruined it, to be honest. I nearly fucked it. I've been drinking rum straight all day.
Yeah.
And I'd been there the year before. I'd bunked in the year before. I shouldn't have said that, really, because never get him back. Never get invited back.
You never bunked in.
Never bunked in, no. And then I was the only one out of the lads, so I was like, come with me. Walk around Shangri-La, I'll show you where everything is. Because they were like, oh yeah, they've been to festivals, but nothing compares to Glastonbury, does it? I was like, come with me, come Ed. So we went, and I was like, see that there, see that. And within an hour, I didn't realise I'd done a litre of rum in, as well as like drinking lager all day. So then I was like, come Ed, son. And then a few people like sloped off and wherever, and I ended up with just me and my cousin Tom. Artist wristband. He was like, fucking hell, there's the rabbit hole, let's go on the rabbit hole. Artist wristband went, yeah, straight to the front, big queue. And we were like, thought we were the big bollocks. But yeah, boss. So then walked in, and he was like, right, go on, pick a thing. And you've got to climb through the little tunnels, haven't you? Literally.
Never
crawl.
been.
Oh, it's mad. So the rabbit hole is like a tent, and you go in the tent, and you've got to crawl. There's like little doors.
Yeah.
And you've got to crawl through the doors to get into the club, to get into the actual tent. And some of them just lead nowhere. Some of them like come back out the front, and there's a fella dressed as a rabbit, like a hare on stilts, walking around and like, no, like Wizard of Oz sort of stuff. And you're like, hi, and take your pick, and doing all mad sort of acting stuff. He's dressed as a rabbit. Get in there, crawl in, and we picked the right one. And because I've crawled, as soon as I stood up, like the rum's hit me, and I'm just half an hour later, I was asleep in the corner. And that was it. And luckily, we were playing the Sunday. I remember standing up and seeing Fatboy Slim, and Tom was like, Fatboy Slim's on there. And I was like, oh, boss. And Tom went, I'm going to bar, what do you want? I was like, I don't know, gin or something. He went to bar, and he come back, and I was just on the deck. Spent all Saturday just writ off in a tent, and then the Sunday came. And I was building it up in my head, as I say, the gig. I was expecting Kate Moss to be there. I was expecting, like, I don't know,
A-listers, like.
Yeah, I was expecting Fern Cotton to introduce us, and it to walk out, and it'd be flares going off and all that. And it was amazing. It was a boss gig. The head of the BBC, the head of the music of the BBC, said that's the busiest the tent's been, because it was full of Scousers. It was boss.
Yeah.
There was like all my mates and everyone's mates who were like, go and watch the lads, and it was shocker, and everyone was singing the songs. And BBC recorded one of the our last tune, Would You Rather Be Lonely? That's on YouTube now. It was amazing. And I come off stage and I was like, wow, that's amazing. But then I was like, how do we get on next year? Like, we've got to top it. Like,
Chasing it.
Yeah. I was like, how do we get on next year? And we don't play this stage, we play a bigger stage. And I come home, and then the rest of the week I was like, that was Glastonbury, is that it? Like, is that the not that it was bad, but it was like I don't know.
You
know what I
expect
mean?
more, or was it just...
No, it was because it was amazing, but I don't know. I think I always thought the day I played Glastonbury, I'd be a millionaire and have a Victoria's Secrets model wife. Do you know what I mean? And like living in a penthouse somewhere. But that's your boyhood thing, and I just never moved on from me boyhood like dream. So it was mad, but I got back. Like, you sort of get over it, you realise it, and then like looking back, especially because the time off now, I never watch ourselves or listen to ourselves back. I can't stand it. But people who'll go share it, and it'll come on my thing or our Instagram or whatever, and I'll look at it, I'll be like, that is good, that's like, I'm proud of that now. Do you know what I mean? That was amazing. But at the time after it, I was like, I was gutted. Do you know what I mean? I was just lying on couches thinking, pack it in now.
It's mad that, really, because most people, you'd probably think like you'd be like on a high for ages. So I'll play Glastonbury, but
yeah, I mean, I am now. I still like, I brag about it all day long now. but in my own head to myself, at the time I was like, now what you do? Do you know what I mean? Like, why get up and pick a guitar up and go and gig anymore? Because I've done Glastonbury. Like, everything else is sort of like
that was the peak.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It felt like that at the moment. In that last week, in the week after, sorry, and then it was like back on the horse. Then it was, it was great. But it was a special thing, like bucket list stuff. You know what I mean?
What do you prefer, playing like outdoor gigs or festivals, or like indoor venues?
I think it's changing. I always liked the indoor stuff, but I've done a lot of it. We've done a lot of it. We play gig after gig after gig, and it's boss when it gets sweaty and stuff. But now we're on album 3, and we're just thinking a little bit bigger. We're just thinking like bigger sounds and basically more people. So I want more of that experience. I do like the sweaty indoor stuff, but when I'm writing tunes or when we're producing tunes in the studio all together, then I'm thinking of the main stage. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, will this song sound good on that main stage at any festival, at Glastonbury, at Isle of Wight, at Coachella, wherever it is, will that fit there? And like that's the benchmark. And if it works there, it'll work in like the clubs, you know what I mean? It'll work in the venues, but that's the benchmark. That's what we're aiming for, so we've got to always think of that.
Your songs are boss for the crowd though, so like Would You Rather Be Lonely, like that's proper anthem, isn't it, which the crowd can get behind.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and that's sort of, if you play that on any stage, people sing the chorus back to you, do you know what I mean? Whether it's 5 people or 5,000 people. And that's what we think about, or that's what I think about all the time, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I seen a video, it was like somewhere abroad, like quite mad, of you playing that somewhere, and like the crowd was singing it back. I was like, obviously like mine in England, like a different language and that, and they're singing it back. I was like, fucking hell, that's mad.
Madness. So there's Romania, Sweden, South Korea, Norway. We done Norway about a year ago. It was a year ago last weekend, actually, we played Norway. The Romania one was like, that was mad. That was great. I think that's there's a few videos of that on YouTube and that. But yeah, that's the aim. You know what I mean? You've got to think of like them big stages.
What'd you say like the most mad place you've been is out of all them?
South Korea was mad. South Korea was crazy, but it was because we had a 16-hour flight, a 6-hour flight, and then a 9-hour flight. And then we got there, and our manager George, took sick, so we had to go home. Yeah. So we were left 6 lads in the middle of South Korea for 5 days. And we was like, be here when we wanted on tap, because every bar we went into, we had this wristband that got us free ale. Yeah. And it just ended up silly. Like, I hope the manager doesn't listen to this, because we come back and we're like, yeah, it was sound, George. And it was like, no, it was mad. It was madness. We ended up, got kicked out the Airbnb.
What for?
Ended up asleep on. We had to sleep in the middle of a dual carriageway, so like them 12 lane dual carriageways, and then there's a central reservation with like grass on. There's a central reservation with grass on that no one goes on, and we had to like sort of got kicked out it like the day before we were meant to be flying. We had all our bags and that, and we thought we can't sleep anywhere because it's that busy. Everyone's just like cars flying past, people walking, not even bothered. We just found this little patch of grass. The only one was in the middle of the dual carriageway, and we all just lay down, went asleep, roasting like, and we just had to do it because we had nowhere to stay.
What did you get kicked out for?
I can't tell you. No, it was. I think it was something to do with the manager had got the flight times mixed up. So I think it was, our flight wasn't till the next morning, and we got kicked out at like 6 o'clock on the morning before. So we had to stay up all day. And we had a gig that night, and then we were going straight from the gig to the airport. That was in his head. That was the plan. But we didn't. We could have went home and had a sleep, and then got up in the morning and went to the airport. So we had like, and the fella come in and was like, knocked on the door and was like, come on, get out. And we'd had. It was tiny. It was like a residential. It was like families living around us, like a little dungeon basement thing. It probably. I thought I was getting butchered when we walked in. We were like, oh no. It was like there was 4 rooms. Each of them had 2 double beds in for us all to stay. So we were like, right, who we getting in with and all that. And then because we were just that loud and just like had people back and stuff, it was just, they just turned into like scout gaffs and do you know what I mean? And then it just sort of ended up all these Korean women like knocking on the door, like telling us to shut up and that. And we were like, sorry, do you want to come in? No, all right, then, sounds. just carried on. So then I think the fellas come a little bit early and was like, right, go ahead, see you later.
What were you actually playing in Korea, like a festival? Or?
So do you know Liverpool Sound City?
Yeah.
They do it, or every festival does it really. They put like applications forward for at different festivals. So like it's called gig swapping. So do you know what I mean? So like South Korea will send some bands to play Sound City, and Sound City will do the same. And we'd played Sound City for the previous 3 years. We're headlining it this year, but the year we went, 2019, they just was like, we'd signed to the record label who shares their office. So when we were in signing, doing something with the record label, they said, boys, you should play with us, haven't you? Yeah. Says, they had the new album, it's Boss, do you want to go to South Korea? We were like, yeah, let's go. And that was what time was that? About 10 o'clock. About 10 o'clock in the morning, they were like, do you want to play South Korea? We went, yes, sound. And by 5 o'clock in the night, the flights were booked. We were like, what? Like, you can go to South Korea in 6 weeks. We're like, all right, sounds, let's do that then. But that was a crazy place. Norway was mad as well, though. Norway was not because of the people. The place was amazing, but the people, just the greatest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. Why is that?
just don't know, just dead friendly. So we played in a place called Rognan, right, which is it's the nearest city is called Bodø, right, but Rognan's 2-hour flight from Oslo. So you fly into Oslo, the capital, then you've got to fly north for 2 hours. So we're closer here to Oslo. We're sat on Vauxhall Road. We are closer to Oslo than this Bodø was. It was that far north. There was polar bears. You weren't allowed to walk outside this like little town because there was polar bears and like moose and like things that would kill you. And when we went up there, and it was like a little village of like little fishing village, like 2,000 people, but 10,000 people come on it like that weekend. This one weekend, loads of bands playing, big Norwegian bands, and all the surrounding towns and villages all come in and play, and it's their big piss up.
Yeah.
So they just made up to have you there. Oh, Liverpool, this, Liverpool. Like, talking about Everton as well. Loads of Everton fans, loads of Liverpool fans. Talking about the Beatles. They're just your best mates.
Yeah.
We got up one day at 9 o'clock and we had to go and do something. You don't get hungover, by the way, over there, because the air's that fresh and the beer's that good. You could drink till 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, going light. You'd have an hour's sleep. You get up your sound. You just walk.
Mad, huh?
It was honest to God. I'd recommend anyone to go to Norway, drink the beer, and it's like, so you get up at 9 o'clock in the morning and they go, oh, they'd seen your gig the night before, come in, and we were sat in camper vans. We were meant to be going doing interviews with radio stations and we couldn't get there because fellas were like, come in, here's a beer, sit in my camper van, and like drink it, and just dead nice people, dead nice people. Like.
Do you know, in terms of like festivals this year, so you book for Tramsmith neighbourhoods, and you just mentioned Headline and Sound City, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Sound City.
Yeah, we got our tickets for that the other day,
we
didn't
got
we?
them. Yeah, Sound City. It feels like it's our home festival, isn't it? Our hometown festival. We've played it that year. I remember it wasn't too long ago, and still feels like this now, but it feels like we were always like, let's get on Sound City. That was the aim of the year, was get on Sound City. We'd try and release a song in March so that it come out just as they announced the new bands or the bands for May. That was always the aim, and it was like, let's get on it. And then that seems like yesterday, but then they offered us to headline, and we were like, whoa, well, headline? And we were like, yeah, all right, so yeah, we'll do it. And then they were like, there's the poster, then you're on top of the poster. It's like, whoa, that's mad. You know what I mean? Like, when you, every year, you're like, what's the best lineup in it? You're looking at all the festivals, and you don't even look at the top. You think, who's the headliners? Oh, yeah, and then you go down the thing. I always, even if I was playing a festival, you go to the bottom and go, right, you work your way up from the bottom to see where your name was. And we were at the top of this poster. Madness. But
Hopefully that's on, though. Is that October?
October,
yeah.
I think it will.
Yeah.
What is it?
Sound.
Yeah, I think so. If
Only
not, we'll
March,
just
yeah.
do it. We'll just do it in here. Just have a gap. Yeah, be alright.
Was I be right in saying your headline show at Mountford Halls in October as well? That'll be
Yeah.
some month for you, that.
Yeah. And then we play 3 days at the end of September, 27, 28, 29, or something like that, September. Then we've got a day off, or a few days off. Then we headline Sound City. Then we play for the rest of the month, every night for the rest of the month. And then we play Liverpool, like the big Liverpool show. Which is, it's almost sold out actually already, so it's gonna be silly. Like, it's been a long time coming. That was meant to be to March 2020.
Yeah.
And it was nearly sold out then. And then I think everyone's just waiting until they see one gig go ahead, aren't they?
Yeah.
As soon as that first one goes, everyone's just going to be like, right, I'm going there. But yeah, that's going to be special. I think that'll be the best gig ever.
Yeah. Well, what was your headline show at the O2 Big Room like? Is that the biggest headline one you've put on?
Yeah, that was the biggest. It feels dead long ago, but it was. You know what was mad? Everyone says like, what's your best show and all that stuff like that. And I always say the Liverpool O2 one was great, but there's a lot more pressure on it. Like, if you go to Scotland, if you go to Sheffield, or anywhere north, you go and you know by the first song it's like it's going to be bouncing.
Yeah.
You set it up that way, so you play your one of your big hits, like first, second song, and it goes off, and then it's just like that for the rest of the night. Whereas Liverpool, because you know everyone, or they feel like they know you a little bit more, and it's like they stand and watch and appreciate it a little bit more rather than going mad. You know what I mean? You don't go mad because you know, my mates are there, stood there, and they don't really want to go mad for me. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit like, all right, lads, yeah, that's all right. That was sound. It's not like, that was amazing. No one wants to do that.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's half my family are there as well, auntie, so they're all sat at the back with picnics and all that. Do you know what I mean? They're all, it's just like a day off in Liverpool. I think the guild's going to be big enough to have both. You know what I mean? It's going to have like people who stood there going, oh yeah, I remember these. I know Fran, I know Tom, I know. And then it's going to have hopefully some fucking lunatics at the front.
Where would you say like you get the best reaction from apart from like Liverpool?
Don't know. It depends what you mean by a reaction, because if it's like live reaction, the further north you go, so Glasgow's fucking nuts.
Everyone says that.
Aberdeen's fucking nuts. Edinburgh's fucking nuts. Sheffield nuts. Newcastle. Our last tour, the first night of the tour was Newcastle, and there was a stage invasion, and we had to spend £800 the next day fixing Neil's drum kit.
Fucking hell.
I think we got like 200 quid for like the gig, and then we sold like £300 worth of t-shirts. So the first gig we were like down 300 quid because everyone had got on the stage and got on Neil's thing, and it was all just like broken. It was a night, but we weren't that bothered. But the tour manager was fuming. But that is that's what, like, you go high, and then the further south you go, it sort of subdues a little bit more. But London, we sell more tickets in London than we do anywhere else. And we've got, like, I don't know, they come and they're like, yeah, that's good, they appreciate it, but there's always something going on down there, isn't there? So they're used to it, you know what I mean? On the Tuesday night, they could be watching, I don't know, anyone, the Killers or Paul McCartney in the O2, and then the next night they've got us, so they're always entertained. So they're just like, oh yeah, that was good, that's a good night, that was a good Tuesday night, and then go home. Whereas every day, you know, not many people go up to Aberdeen, not many big bands go up to Aberdeen. So even when a little band like us goes up there, and we're dead loud with a trumpet screaming in your face, and it's like the darts, you know what I mean? Everyone goes, but yeah, Liverpool's always, it's a scary one for us, because we know they're just not going to go off.
You more nervous for like Liverpool than what you were for example, a big festival, like maybe not Glastonbury, but another one?
Yeah, Liverpool's always the one where I'm like, oh, no. It's like just the pressure's on, because if you fuck up, the people you know are gonna know that you fuck up and see you fuck up. You know what I mean? And we always sell the biggest amount of tickets there, so there's an extra pressure. It's like, go on then, entertain us. You know what I mean? It's like, go on then, the boys. You know, you think you're Liverpool. You know what I mean? If you think you're Scouts, go ahead then, show us, sort of thing. And I think they've all went well. I don't know.
On that topic of like Liverpool music, is there anyone you're into like that's from the city at the moment? Any upcoming bands, DJs or whatever?
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's loads. Just you'll will probably be on them all, but there's one that you won't be on. What? Name's Brooke Combe or Brooke Combe. Have you seen her?
No.
Just wait until she starts releasing. She's on like Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and that. She plays piano. She's from Scotland, but she's doing some work down here in Park Street and that. Plays piano and plays guitar, and she's been doing covers online. One of the covers she done was got 3 million views in like 24 hours. And she's like, we were in a studio recording not too long ago, and Chris, our producer, is doing stuff with her, and we had a break, and he was like, do you want to hear some of Brooke's stuff? I went, yeah, go ahead. Press play, and it was like, I felt like I was 12 years old. No, going from like our stuff to her stuff. It was like Alicia Keys sort of mad, crazy vocal, just hearing a piano, and then it needs 6 fellas to be anywhere. We're not even half as good as her. Do you know what I mean? And we were trying dead hard, and then we put our song back on after that, and it just sat at the piano playing, and it was like night and day. I was like, we should just pack it in, boys, because she's just well better than us, and always will be.
She's not got any songs out yet? No.
But wait, just wait. Honestly, like the voice on her. Yeah, I'm not gonna give too much away because
I'll have to keep an eye out.
Honestly, go on Twitter, go on Instagram and all that. I think there's something. Yeah, it's about to kick off for it. I think. And it already has kicked off, to be honest, on Twitter and stuff.
It's like that. Is it Rihanna Downey?
Oh
Scotland?
Yeah, Rihanna. Yeah, I've seen her.
Yeah. She kicked off on Twitter, didn't she?
Yeah, she's done a few things. she's been doing covers as well. So they've both done like the similar path of like during lockdown doing a few covers and like building that thing. But yeah, only that. It's not only them two, but you know most of the others don't use really.
Yeah.
I think you've had half of them on, haven't you?
Just mentioned touring before. What's on your rider?
12 bottles of Peroni. I don't know actually. JD gin as well.
Pink gin.
I don't know. I don't drink it. To be honest, if it's our Tommy, it'll be pink gin in one of them glasses.
With fruit
One of
in.
them, yeah, with fruit in. And them elderberries or whatever they're called. Yeah. What else is there? Do you know what? It's mainly food, to be honest. There's like a few bottles of beer, a few shorts and that, and then food, because that's all you do when you get to a thing. You don't want to be. You can't be bevying every night. You know what I mean? But there's nothing mad.
No.
I think it's like you take the piss a little bit.
Do you not drink every gig? No.
Most gigs, yeah.
Yeah.
There's most gigs. It's like get to a point where, just from my point of view as the singer, like the bassist and the drummer can drink all he wants. But from my point of view, if I'm drinking ale every night, then up till 5 o'clock in the morning, screaming, shouting, the next day I'm going to be crap, and then the next day after that, by the end of it, I'll have no voice. But yeah, I just take it easy. You pick your ones. So when we get the tour through, it's not about how much you're getting paid. It's not about the venues you're playing. It's like, right, where are we having a bevy? Like where's the night out? Where's the day off? So the night before we can have a drink. We always ask for Liverpool to have the day off the night before. The night after, the day after we want off. And then Glasgow, we want the night off. The day off. Sorry, after it. London, because just there's so many things to do. You always end up getting caught up in something down there. So you pick them on Sheffield as well. We know a few people in Sheffield, so you always pick them ones. Like you think, right, we'll meet them and go for a pint, and we can spend all night with them and just end up in their kitchen. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Not Alex Turner, is it? In
No.
Sheffield.
No, he wouldn't invite us back to his kitchen, would he? I don't know whether I want to meet them, to be honest.
Why is that? Not meet your heroes type thing?
Yeah, it'd ruin it, wouldn't it?
Depends what he's like, doesn't it?
Yeah. But from what I've heard, he'd ruin it.
You'll have to come on the podcast
Yeah.
for us to find out.
Explaining himself in that.
No, I think he... yeah, don't know. You'll see. I wouldn't not want to meet him, you know what I mean? I wouldn't like fuck him off or anything. If he's like, you want to go back to us, I'm
Ignore
like, you know, I'd go on here, go on home. I would prefer that, like.
Where's your favourite place to drink in Liverpool?
There's a few places. The old bank in Waterloo, that was our stomping ground. And my family have got a lot to do with Bootle Football Club.
Yeah.
So I end up there most weekends, most
There's
Saturdays.
our watches then.
Yeah,
isn't
my
it?
half and
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
down for pure
Really?
buzzes off it, yeah.
I'll know you're half fella. I'll definitely know you're half fella.
Oh, they.
I'll definitely know you're half fella, honestly.
Will it be for the right reasons, though?
Yeah, it will.
Leading
I'll
the
be
charge
singing it.
against
Call
the
them
Fields.
maids all the time.
Always getting them out of trouble. Fighting with them on the away days. That's what I'm telling. Yeah, I always end up in there, so I'll play footy on a Saturday and then I'll go to Bootle and either watch the second half or just end up drinking there, but then in town.
Would you put a gig on there?
Yeah,
on the
On
Dodge
the
Cop?
pitch.
On the Dodge Cup. Well, on the pitch, we wanted to do on the pitch, didn't we? And we were going to do it this year. But
That'd
then,
be boss, that.
yeah, but then they've just put down a new pitch, haven't they, for like spent £500,000.
Nah, you just replace it at Sound.
Yeah, sounds. Yeah. If a player at Bootle won't pay in, £500,000 it cost us. No, but yeah, that we will do one day. Yeah, I think so. When we're massive, get your half fellas to sort it.
What is like the dream gig? Obviously, because most people say Glastonbury, but you've already played it, so.
Glastonbury again. And then there's a few venues like London. I want to do Ali Pally.
Yeah.
We're doing Brixton Academy soon.
Everyone always says that's a boss venue, that.
Brixton.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're playing it soon. With Circle Waves, I can't say when because it's not announced.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
But we're supporting Circle Waves. I think, if that's still on. And then the arena, yeah. Like it seems dead weird, but when our guild show goes ahead in October, when that's the next step, innit? No, like for us,
Yeah.
like that's 2,500 people, and there's no in between there. There's no in between. There's the Guild or then the arena.
How big's the Olympia?
It's less. It's about
Yeah, less,
1,800, I think. Yeah, just a little bit less.
How big's the Echo?
It can go to 10. It can go to 10,000. 10,000 at most, but you can like pull the stage forward and do like. Remember Snoop Dogg played to like 300 people in there, didn't he? So, like, because they pulled the stage right up. But I think
we need a bigger arena, don't we? Really, Manchester. I know Manchester's a bigger city, but that's like 23k.
We've got Anfield then. We've got Anfield now, haven't we? You can do stuff there now in Anfield.
That's too big, though, isn't it? That's like 55, is it? No,
55, yeah, 56.
Like we'll have our new stadium soon.
All right.
Our beautiful
Dockside
stadium.
We'll play yours then. Play in the car park and yours. We'll play the arena before that's built. That's an aim for me.
Is a bet?
Not a bet, no. Not a bet. I've got the money to it. But yeah, that's the sort of the dream on there, the arena. Like, I just imagine driving in. I've been to so many gigs there myself where you just, as you're walking up and there's loads of people and thousands of people going to, and you think, fucking hell, this is going to be boss, and you're buzzing for whoever it is you're going to see. I just think like that's the aim for me, to be standing there watching people walk in thinking they're going to watch me. It's a bit like, be a bit scary, but I don't know, maybe put something together. We've been talking about it for a while, like putting on like a bit of a day thing. And now that we sort of open up again, I don't know, imagine a full day of like Scouse bands.
That'd be boss.
Imagine like, and you know, we wouldn't have to headline it. I'm not fussed on that. As long as we get an half decent slot, do you know what I mean? As long as we get like a later slot. Yeah. But imagine if like it opens at 12 o'clock and you had like, I don't know, 10 bands on through the night. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, because there's enough talent out there. You get 5 decent bands. You get a few good singers on. You get a few DJs, Anton Powers and Lee Butler, and then you get like the Coral playing. And like, I don't know, like a big festival sort of thing down there. I think there's a scope for it, because it used to happen on like the dock and that, didn't it? Like loads of things down there by the live buildings and that. But that's something I'm working on, yeah.
There's a good scene at the moment here, though. Not just like it's your mad. Type of music. There's also like DJs as well.
Yeah, it's
like,
mad.
Everyone knows each other as well somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's so geographically, it's so close together. It is like everything's within a mile radius. Think of like Ghetto Golf. Think of like the Baltic Market to Vauxhall Road. Like that's not that far. You can walk that in like an hour and a half, couldn't you? Do you know what I mean? And like everything's going on in that little area. You go to Manchester, you have to get in a car for half an hour, 45 minutes to go to the next gig or whatever.
Even like the Whittle's not that far, and there's quite a lot of like creative talent there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's mad because it seems like it's the thing we're good at, because we've got nothing else, but like everyone in Manchester sort of like, there's lots of ways to get jobs in Manchester. You can go into banking, you can go to, there's lots of like, you know, big industrial things and big like banking stuff going on, and there's not many stuff here, but everyone chooses that thing, you know what I mean? That's why we're the nightlife's boss, because there's loads of creative people in Liverpool, because that's the thing we do well. We do entertainment well, we do sport well, like it's always been that way. Probably because we're out here on the coast having to entertain ourselves in it as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can't rely on people just popping by. We're out here just like what should we do?
Is there anything which you don't like about the music industry, or anything hard about being in a band?
Yeah, there's loads of things, but it's just the one thing is people think it's overnight. People think it's like it goes like that, and it's not. Like we've been at this for 9-10 years, and it's only now that people are just starting to recognise our songs, and like we're getting onto radios and stuff like that, and we can sell enough tickets to make some money, and it doesn't just happen like that. And there's people. I meet a lot of people that are just like, you just need to do this, you just need that one hit song, you just need to do it. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, well, I do, but there's other ways to go about it, and there's other things you've got to do in the meantime. And probably it's not so much about the industry, but it's probably the view of the industry of people just think it's a bit of a piss up. It is. You can have your piss ups, but it's hard. It's a hard graft, you know. It's like sitting on a bus with 6 lads.
Yeah. Would you want to just go clean one day though? Would you rather it like, because when we had Melee on the podcast, he was saying he prefers it just gradually progressing, so you've built that fan base rather than just being like a one hit wonder type thing.
Yeah, so that's sort of the building blocks, if you build it the way we are, it feels like other people, the fans that get onto you, they stay with you because they see you doing their move, they see you make it, they see you playing the Zanzibar, and then they see you going up to like the O2 and then the Guild, and they feel invested in you. So in 10 years time, they'll still be like buying your stuff. You know what I mean? You've got like you've made a foundation, you made a solid group of people and a group of fan base who like you, and you probably meet most of them, a lot of them anyway. But if you do go boom, it's dead fickle. Because people jump on you, they don't know your story, they're not asked about your story, they just listen to the song, and that song is there for 6 weeks and then falls off the face of the earth. Yeah. And they were spending £100 on you 1 minute to come and watch a gig and buy a t-shirt and buy your album, and then 6 weeks time they're on to the next thing. You know what I mean? So no, I don't want to do. I want to have a solid fan base, and then if we go boom sound. Do you know what I mean? I think we've got a solid fan base now. We'll always be able to go on tour 2 or 3 times a year for the next 5-10 years and keep releasing songs, and we've got enough to like get us by. But that's better, having a like longevity, because I can see, I feel like I've got a music career. Me and the lads feel like we've got a career. We're thinking about album 4, album 3, album 4, album 5, where we want to go, how we want to, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. We're planning our life around a career rather than it just going bang in 12 months and then... And then you're fucked, and you've got a drug habit, and you know what I mean, an ex-wife and all that. Like, your wife fucks you off, and you're a mess. You're back in your ma's box room and all that. Like, I'd rather not do that. Yeah, still might. I don't know. This next song might be a hit, and I'll just be in my bar's box room ringing you, saying, "Hey, do you want to go and do a podcast?" He's like, "Nah." Go to rehab first.
Which one of your albums do you prefer? Tough question, like.
Yeah. Different. Probably album 3. It's coming soon. We're writing it now, so it's the most recent thing that you get into your most recent thing, don't you? But Matador's sentimental. I haven't listened to it for ages, but it'll always be the first one. It was like the thing that it felt like me and the lads like, yes, me and the lad, like we've done it, and it was just a thing of like, if this is it, this is it. You know what I mean? If we just release one album, that's it, and it'll be there forever, and it's been in HMV, and I'm not asked. It's on Spotify, and that's it. We're done, and we'll just go and get a job. But then the second album was like, I think it wasn't so much an improvement, but it was like a progression. I felt like it was more sort of us, what we wanted to be. It was a bit more unique. It was a bit more thought out, and it was a bit bigger. It was like had the potential to do. It does. It has done bigger things. Like it's got loads of radio play in America. We've got loads of radio play. Poland, Germany, Netherlands. Got on like loads of Boss playlists, Radio 2 playlist here, and Radio 1. So like that sort of, as far as like what it's actually done for our career, album 2. But like sentimental thing, it's like, that's Matador. The first album was just like me and the boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's your favourite song off each album?
My favourite song off the second album is Elevation, probably.
That's probably mine.
It's just the coolest, I think. And I don't have to dance around, and I don't have to scream like a cat or nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's in a nice range. I can just be like, just sing it, and it's a bit of a break for me in the middle of the set. And then, I mean, Lonely off Matador. Would you rather be lonely? Just I don't know, something stuck. That hook just stuck in there with people. People just sing it. Yeah. One of the second, third time we played it live, people were on it, and we're like, "That's a beast." They knew the word, they knew that lyric, they knew that one line, and that was enough. Yeah. But Matador, the actual song, Matador's the oldest song. It was one of the first, probably one of the first songs we ever written together. To be honest, it was one of the first 5, which is like it's probably about 10 years old. That song. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it just stayed with us because it was that good. It just sort of stayed and just made the album somehow. Weird.
Another question we always ask guests, you want me throwing in at the end, top 3 favourite Liverpool songs?
Favourite songs from Liverpool or Liverpool like the footy team?
No.
Liverpool. You're not alone. I'm from the road. I don't know. Bands, just bands from Liverpool.
Any song. You can have 5 if you want. If you can't get it down to 3.
I think There She Goes has got to be there.
Yeah,
it's just instant, isn't it? Just anywhere you go in the world, it's like, oh, it's that song. There She Goes. just because they're amazing. And John Power, we've done a bit of writing with John Power back in the early days when we were shit at songwriting.
Yeah.
Our manager was like, use a shit at songwriting, and rang John Power and said, we go in with them and just like try and get them.
Not a bad person to learn off that as well.
I know, yeah. He was boss. He just sat there and we were all just sat round in a circle, like looking at him as if it was like year one in school. We was looking like, what you do, John? Sing us a song, John. And then She's So Heavy, probably Beatles. Yeah. It's got a special. Yeah, I don't know why. It just stuck out to me, to be honest.
It's a tune.
Yeah, innit? And I feel a bit pretentious saying it because it's it's not a pop song. It's like quite cool and that, innit? It probably says more about me being an egotistical big swellhead, like, but it's a cool song, and I want to be that cool. And then a third one. Can't be our own, no. Can't be one of ours.
Go on.
No. I'd have to say the Coral. I'd have to say Is In the Morning too obvious?
No, you can have that.
It's obvious for a reason, though, innit?
Or Come Together.
That's more obvious.
That's more obvious, isn't it? Yeah, but that's like, I think that's broader. Go on, I'll go with the Coral, because if I ever bump into James Kelly again, he'll pass me. Yeah. But I'll go with the Coral, yeah. It's not Liverpool, but
Yeah.
but it is Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll have it.
Yeah.
So we normally finish on, what's your favourite pint? You normally ask that question.
Oh,
Feels
yeah,
weird me
yeah.
doing that.
Favourite? It's got to be lager, has it?
It can be any alcoholic beverage.
So, I drink Guinness when I'm singing. So, like, if I'm singing, I'll have a Guinness first because it's just less, you burp less, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm having a drink, I'll drink Guinness on the day of a gig. But the Carlin in Bootle Football Club and in the Eden Vale, you know where the Eden Vale is, in Netherton, and the Salt Box in Liverpool them three pubs, the Carlin from there is the best Carlin you'll ever. You leave 4 and you're done. Like 4 and you taxi home. It's one of them. Yeah, Carlin. Carlin. I'm complicating it, and there's no pubs open, so I need to shut up about it because it's getting me in the mood.
That's the first one we've had saying Carlin, you know.
Carlin.
Mm.
It's a cheap one, innit? It's like it's quite an obvious choice, but I think I don't know. I'm just used to it. You know what I mean? It's one of them.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a beer. That's what beer is. That's it. It's done.
Any more question? Are we finished then, or are we all done?
I'll throw one more in.
Go on.
As you mentioned it before, what sort of is your songwriting process?
Varies. Art Thomas, my cousin, is a whiz. He's a genius. He's our Gary Barlow. He's unbelievable. He's a space cadet. If he walked in here now, you'd think it was like Carl Pilkington. He looks like Carl
You've got to
Pilkington.
give him a better compliment than Gary Barlow, you know.
No, we like Gary
He
Barlow.
like John Lennon.
He likes Gary Barlow. He's my cousin. I can't call him John Lennon. You know what I mean? That's as close to a compliment as he's getting. Gary Barlow. But he's just a whiz, and a lot of the time he comes in with ideas, themes, or like choruses, little hooks, and or guitar parts. It's mainly a chorus, not like a good saying or something like that. And he goes, I've got this idea, and then he'll come in and it'll just be something. And he'll say, I think this song should be about this, it should sound like this, and it should this. And then we put stuff together, all together. But most of it, it's usually started by Tom, and then we all like add it and pad it and arrange it. But then sometimes I come in with ideas and go, yeah, what about this? And sometimes Mike come in with ideas and go, what about this? Joe, the trumpet player, comes in and does a little thing on his trumpet, and we all just go, yeah, well, and Joe, sort of thing, because it just fucking blows your ears off. But it's usually that, and then we just all add to it then, and it's mad because there's no egos. Tom brings something in that shit. I'll just say that it's a bit shit though, innit? It's a bit like fucking, it's a bit cheesy, or it's a bit too arty. And he'll do the same for me. He'll be like, yeah, it's not up to much that. And then Tony, when we're all happy or sort of happy, that it like sort of makes the makes the album or just makes the short list or whatever. That's it's boring, proper boring songwriting. It's great when you come out with the product, and when you first get the idea, but there's like them two moments, there's fucking hard work in between each of them, and it does your head in. You know what I mean? And you can argue for days over it. But you just got to remember it's for the best. You know what I mean? You end up punching each other's heads in, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that was Fran from Red Rum Club. Thanks very much for that, mate.
Nice one, boys.
And we hope you all enjoyed it, and don't forget to like and subscribe.